Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today we've got a really specific mission, a very focused one. We're diving deep into Trent McDuffie, the Chiefs cornerback. And the big question, really the only question we're tackling is this. Is his play right now so good, so dominant, that a huge long-term deal isn't just a good idea, but like something they need to do immediately?
Yeah, that's the heart of it. Because, whatever they decide really shapes the Chiefs' defensive spending for, the next 5 years. We've gathered a lot of analysis, and honestly, it leans heavily on next-gen stats, stuff that gives you incredible detail. Our sources are basically making what they're calling an irrefutable case to lock him up. Now, pay the man. I mean, you're looking at a truly elite player and his price tag. It's only going up. The Chiefs, they need a plan for that max contract because it feels inevitable.
Okay, let's break down that money situation then, because that's where the strategy, the tension really lies, doesn't it? They already did something this offseason to keep him around a bit longer. What's the actual timeline here?
They did, absolutely. Smart move, really. They picked up his fifth-year option, so that means he's under contract, guaranteed, through the 2026 season. That gives him some breathing room. It's not like he hits free agency next March. No immediate panic.
Right, but breathing room.
Yeah.
Well, it usually means the price inflates later. If he keeps playing like this, I mean, he's already a two-time All-Pro, maybe having his best year ever. Doesn't waiting just make that final number bigger, much bigger?
That's exactly the dilemma. That's the core problem. They can sign him any time between now and the end of 2026. But the financial reality is every great game he plays, the price gets steeper. It just does. Look, when McDuffie signs that big long-term deal, whether it's KC or someone else paying him, he's getting top dollar, probably resetting the market. He's already proved he's one of the best corners playing today.
Okay. That sounds like a push for getting it done sooner rather than later. But is there any reason to wait? If you're the Chiefs, does waiting until closer to 2026 give you any leverage, maybe dangling the franchise tag or something?
Well, you get more data points, sure, and maybe some perceived leverage, but honestly, it's a huge gamble given how he's playing. The sources we're looking at suggest waiting is just financially risky because there's almost no sign this level of play is a fluke. The really specific stats, the granular stuff we're about to get into, they show his success comes from technique, from consistency, not luck. If he plays out these option years, you're basically guaranteeing his extension will have to beat whoever the highest paid corner is then. It becomes a true market setter.
Right, and that's where this analysis gets crucial. The sources say, despite being a two-time All-Pro already, 2025 might actually be his best season yet.
Right.
What's the evidence for that? What are we seeing on the field?
It boils down to how they use him and how he performs within Steve Spagnuolo's defense, Spagnuolo's system. See, he's not just some talented guy covering receivers out there. He's essential. He's the piece that lets Spagnuolo dial up all those aggressive blitzes he loves. If you watch the Chiefs' D, they want to force quick decisions, create chaos. And to do that, your corners have to hold up, especially in press coverage, tight coverage.
And we can actually put a number on that press coverage, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's one of the toughest jobs for a DB, physically demanding.
Oh, absolutely. And when you look at his press coverage mastery, the numbers are, they're pretty striking. McDuffie is lined up within 3 yards of a receiver that's press range on 45.1% of his coverage snaps this season. Just to give you some context, that rate. It's the second highest in the entire NFL for any corner who's played at least 100 snaps.
Oh, wow. 45%.
Yeah.
That's nearly half his snaps. But let's just pause on that for a second. Think about how hard that is to maintain. Pressing that much means you're constantly on an island, right? One-on-one. That usually leads to boom or bust plays, big stops or big completions or flags. Why is 45% so much riskier than, say, 30%?
It's a mindset thing, but it's also just physically taxing. Every single snap you press, you risk getting beat clean off the line for a huge game, a touchdown even. Most defensive coordinators, even the aggressive ones, they mix it up more. They dial back the press just to limit those huge mistakes. McDuffie playing press, that often shows massive trust from the coaches because he doesn't just try to press, he's actually really, really good at it.
And the success rate, that's the number that really makes you sit up and take notice. When he is pressing, he's only allowed 83 receiving yards total on 14 targets thrown his way. That's incredibly stingy.
It really speaks to his technique, his precision. Okay, so on those 14 press targets, yeah, he allowed 8 catches, which sounds okay, maybe not amazing, but he also got his hands on the ball 5 times 5 passes defense. So he's breaking up almost as many passes as he's allowing completions. He's fighting for the ball at the catch point every time. And that's exactly what you need in that high-risk press scheme Spagnuolo runs. He takes away that quick, easy throw the QB looks for against the blitz.
Okay, so that leads us right into reliability. Consistency, which is what you want a cornerstone player, right? If he's that foundation piece, we should see it week in, week out.
And we do, yeah. When you just look at the basic numbers through, the first 8 games of 2025, the consistency is phenomenal. He hasn't allowed even 40 yards receiving in any single game this year, not one. And maybe more importantly, he hasn't given up a touchdown in coverage since way back in week 1. That's a 7-game run of just elite shutdown play.
And when we talk efficiency, there's that key stat, yards allowed per target. That helps compare guys no matter how often QBs test them.
Exactly. And his number there is 5.3 yards per target allowed. This is where you really see him separate from the pack statistically. To put that 5.3 in perspective, among the 93 corners who've been targeted at least 20 times this year, he ranks 12th lowest. So even when offenses do decide to throw his way, they're getting basically nothing. Short stuff. Minimal gains. He just completely disrupts the offense's rhythm.
Which brings us to maybe his most valuable asset, something that doesn't always show up in the standard stat line. Versatility.
Yeah.
The sources really emphasize this. He's not just an outside guy or just a slot guy. He does both at a high level.
And that flexibility, oh man, that's strategic gold for someone like Spagnuolo. For anyone listening who watches closely, you probably know this, but why is it so rare to find a corner who's great both outside and in the slot? The jobs are they're really different.
They totally are. Think about it. Boundary corner, you've got the sideline working for you, right? Helps funnel the receiver. But the slot corner? You're in space, dealing with those shifty receivers on two-way goes, crossing routes, navigating traffic with linebackers and safeties. It's a different game, different footwork, different reads.
McDuffie mastering both means the offense can't just scheme away from him. If you have a corner who only plays outside or only plays inside, a smart OC will just put their best receiver where your guy isn't. But because McDuffie can handle either spot equally well, Spags can match up however he needs to without giving up talent or having to totally change his defensive calls. That versatility alone is worth millions.
So looking at his traditional stats for the year, 35 tackles, 5 PBUs, 1 interception through 8 games, you see he's active against run and pass. But the real story, the thing that crystallizes his value, comes from that next-gen metric, the one that gave him that nickname.
Oh, yes, let's get to that. The memorable detail. The sources are calling him the stickiest of sticky corners.
I like that phrase because it gets beyond just the result, completion or interception. It focuses on the process of covering someone, and it's driven by a really specific kind of wild time-based metric.
Right, this tight coverage time metric. It's how these modern tracking systems measure just how much a defender is constantly plastering a receiver. Just to be clear for everyone listening, this is literally like a stopwatch. Next-gen stats defines tight coverage as the defender being within 1 yard of the receiver. And it's not just measured when the ball arrives, it adds up the total time the defender spends that close during the entire route.
Okay, that explains the sticky reputation then.
Yeah.
It's not just about making a play on the ball, it's about being constantly present. Annoying. And the number itself is just kind of staggering. Since the start of last season, Trent McDuffie has spent a total of 7 minutes and 12.7 seconds in tight coverage.
7 minutes, 12.7 seconds, being within a yard of your assignment. Now, that might sound a bit abstract, maybe, until you see the comparison. And that comparison is what makes the case, like our sources said, pretty much irrefutable.
That 7.1.7, it's nearly a full minute more time spent in tight coverage than any other defensive player in the whole league. He is just glued to guys more often and stays glued longer than anybody else playing defense.
Yeah, that gap, almost a minute, is huge. Think about what happens in a minute of actual NFL game time. It's forever. That single metric, it really changes how you have to value him. It proves he's shutting down routes before they even develop. He's winning a line, winning downfield, even if the ball never comes his way. He's dominating the route itself.
And it seems like McDuffie himself buys into this philosophy, right? His mindset matches these stats. He talked to the media about being a shutdown corner, and he really focused on sticky coverage.
He did. He specifically said the main thing is not allowing the ball to get caught on you. His focus is entirely on that disruption, that constant presence. It's not just about the flashy interception for the highlight reel. He sees his job as bigger than that.
He said shutdown corners make a difference, that they can shut their side down, and they do things above and beyond just being a corner. You take that mentality and you pair it with a number like tight coverage time. Well, that gives the Chiefs all the ammo they need to justify a record-setting contract, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You connect all these dots, the versatility to play inside and out, the league-leading press rate, and topping the charts in time spent glued to receivers. It just screams, foundational player.
Hmm.
This is the guy you build around. You just can't afford to lose him. Waiting doesn't feel like a strategy anymore. It just feels like delaying the inevitable check you're going to have to write. And it'll be a massive one.
So wrapping this up, what does this mean for you, the listener, when you hear about big sports contracts? We've looked at the numbers, traditional, advanced, even time-based metrics. All the signs point towards a max deal for Trent McDuffie being, well, pretty much essential for the Chiefs to keep this defensive cornerstone.
It really is a defining decision for them. And maybe it signals a shift in how the league values defenders, too. Historically, corners got paid big for INTs, for PBUs, those volume stats, right? But the McDuffie's value, so much of it is captured in these newer metrics like tight coverage time, things that measure that constant minute-by-minute dominance.
So, the provocative thought here is, will his eventual contract force teams to change how they pay versatile defenders? Will they have to start valuing that relentless, sticky engagement just as much as, or maybe even more than, the occasional turnover?
That's the question to keep in mind. That's the knowledge you have now for these future contract talks. The era of the purely stats-based evaluation might be shifting. The stopwatch, the tracking data. Maybe that's the new kingmaker for defensive contracts. The sticky corner era is here.
Think about that. 7 minutes of sticky coverage. Pretty amazing stuff. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Absolutely. Catch you next time.